Have you ever felt stuck when you try to speak English, even though you already know the words? You open your mouth to say something, but your brain starts to translate, to check grammar, to find the perfect sentence. And suddenly you freeze. You stop speaking. You lose confidence. This happens to so many English learners around the world. It doesn't mean you're bad at English. It means you're thinking too much. And today we're going to talk about why this happens and how to start changing it. When we learn English at school, we usually focus on reading, writing, and grammar. We learn how to make correct sentences. We memorize vocabulary lists. We do exercises. But we don't spend enough time speaking naturally, in real conversations. So when the moment comes to speak, our brain tries to use the school system. It starts checking every word before we say it. Imagine your brain is like a busy office. You have a thought in your language. Then your brain sends it to the translation department. After that, it goes to grammar checking, then to vocabulary search, and finally to the speaking department. By the time the sentence arrives, the conversation has already moved on. This is why many people understand English when they read or listen, but they can't speak fast. Their brain is working too hard behind the scenes. Now, let me tell you a short story. There was a woman named Sarah. She studied English for more than 10 years. She knew a lot of words. She could read books and understand movies. But when she talked to native speakers, she felt nervous. She always thought, what if I make a mistake? So she translated every sentence in her head before saying it. Because of this, her speech was slow and unnatural. One day she joined a conversation club. At first she was silent most of the time. She was afraid of speaking. But after a few weeks, she started to relax. She noticed that when she stopped trying to be perfect, her English became more fluent. She made mistakes, yes, but people understood her. And more importantly, she started to enjoy speaking. Sarah's story is not unique. It's the story of millions of learners. Maybe it's your story too. So, why do we think so much when we speak English? There are a few important reasons. 1. We learn to translate, not to communicate. In many countries, English is taught by translating sentences from the native language. Students are trained to think first in their language, then change it into English. This habit becomes automatic. 2. We are afraid of making mistakes. This is one of the biggest reasons. We worry about what other people will think if we say something wrong. We want to be perfect. But perfection kills fluency. No one can speak perfectly, not even native speakers. 3. We focus too much on grammar. Grammar is important, but during real conversations, focusing on grammar rules can slow us down. Speaking fluently means letting go of control sometimes. 4. We don't get enough real speaking practice. In many learning environments, students read and write a lot, but they rarely speak. Speaking is like a muscle. If you don't train it, it stays weak. 5. We speak too slowly in our minds. When you think slowly, you speak slowly. This is why developing automatic English is key. Automatic English means that words and phrases come out without mental translation. Let's think about this with another simple example. When you first learned to drive a car, you probably thought about every little thing. The mirror, the pedals, the signals, the road. It was stressful. But after some time, driving became automatic. You didn't need to think step by step. Your body and brain work together naturally. Speaking English works the same way. At the beginning, you have to think a lot. But if you keep practicing the right way, speaking becomes more natural. Now, here's something important. Thinking is not the enemy. The problem is thinking at the wrong time. You should think and study before you speak, during your learning sessions. But during conversations, you should focus on communicating not on building perfect sentences in your head. Imagine you are talking to a friend in your native language. You don't stop to analyze grammar or vocabulary. You just speak. You make small mistakes. You change your sentences halfway. You laugh. But communication happens smoothly. That's the goal in English too. Many learners believe they need to know more words or more grammar before they can speak fluently. But fluency doesn't only depend on knowledge. It depends on how fast and naturally you can use what you already know. If you have studied English for years, you already have a lot of knowledge inside you. The key now is to unlock it. One effective way to start unlocking it is to practice thinking in English every day, not just during lessons, but during your daily life. For example, when you're walking to work, try to describe what you see in English in your mind. When you're cooking, name the ingredients in English. When you're waiting in line, imagine small conversations. At first, this will feel slow. But if you do it every day, it will become faster. You will start to connect English with your thoughts directly, without translating. Another powerful tool is listening to English every day, especially natural conversations, podcasts, and stories. The more you listen, the more your brain absorbs the patterns of the language. Over time, these patterns become automatic. You don't have to build sentences, they just come. When babies learn their first language, they don't start with grammar books. They listen for months. They absorb sounds, rhythm, and expressions. And one day, they start to speak. You can use the same natural process to make your English more automatic. I want you to understand something deeply. Speaking English without thinking too much is a skill. Like playing an instrument or dancing, it takes training, not just knowledge. Think about musicians. At the beginning, they look at the notes carefully and play slowly. But after months of practice, their fingers move automatically. They can even improvise. This is what happens when your English becomes automatic. So if you feel frustrated now, don't worry. You're not broken. You don't need a new brain. You just need the right kind of practice. Consistently, let's make a small commitment together. From today, I want you to stop aiming for perfect English. Instead, aim for natural communication. When you speak, focus on sharing your message, not on impressing others with perfect grammar. Here's a small exercise for you. Tonight, when you're alone, speak to yourself in English for 5 minutes without stopping. You can talk about your day, your plans, your feelings. Anything? Don't worry about grammar. Don't stop to translate. Just keep speaking. Even if you make mistakes, keep going. We talked about why we think too much when we speak English. You learned that it's not because you're bad at English, but because your brain is still using the translation system. Now, it's time to change that. In this part, we'll talk about how to train your brain to think directly in English, step by step. This is one of the most powerful ways to speak more fluently, naturally and confidently. Let's start with a simple truth. Your brain becomes good at what you train it to do every day. If you always translate in your head, your brain will become very good at translating. But if you start training your brain to think in English, slowly, every day, it will get better and better at that too. Think of your brain like a muscle. If you want strong arms, you don't go to the gym once a month. You train regularly. It's the same with language. Thinking in English is a skill you can develop with daily habits. 1. Start with simple, everyday thoughts. The first step is to bring English into your daily mental life, even in very simple ways. For example, when you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking in your language, try to say in your mind, I'm waking up. I feel tired. I'm going to the kitchen. I need to brush my teeth. These are very basic sentences, but they are powerful because they connect English to your real thoughts. You're not translating. You're thinking directly. At first, this may feel a little slow or strange. That's okay. It's like learning to ride a bike. A bit shaky in the beginning, but if you do it every day, it becomes natural. You can also do this while walking outside. For example, the sun is bright today. I see a red car. That dog looks happy. The goal here is not to speak perfectly. The goal is to make your brain used to using English without translation. 2. Use the 5-minute thinking routine. Every day, choose a moment when you're alone. Maybe before sleeping or while cooking, and think in English for 5 minutes without stopping. Pick a topic, any topic. Your day, your plans for the weekend, a story from your past, your dreams for the future. Then think in English only. If you don't know a word, don't stop. Use another simple word to explain the idea. For example, if you don't know the word umbrella, you can say the thing I use when it rains. This keeps your brain active in English instead of going back to your language. This 5-minute routine may sound simple, but if you do it every day for a few weeks, you will see a big change. Your brain will become faster. Words will come more naturally. You'll rely less on translation. 3. Describe your surroundings in real time. Another great exercise is to narrate your day in real time, like a commentator. For example, when you're cooking, you can think, I'm cutting the onions. I'm turning on the stove. I'm mixing the sauce. Or when you're cleaning, I'm folding the clothes. I'm sweeping the floor. I'm opening the window. This real-time description connects English to your actions. Your brain starts to associate English with life, not with textbooks. 4. Use visual thinking. Some learners get stuck because they always try to find the translation first. A better way is to connect images and experiences directly to English words. For example, when you hear the word apple, don't think of the word in your language. Instead, imagine a real apple, red, round, sweet. This helps your brain create a direct link between the idea and the English word. You can practice this with flashcards too. Take a card with a picture on one side and the English word on the other. Look at the picture. Say the word in English and imagine it clearly in your mind. This strengthens the English thinking connection. 5. Shadowing. Speak while listening. One of the most powerful techniques to train your brain to think in English is called shadowing. Here's how it works. 1. Choose a short audio or video in English. It can be a podcast, a YouTube video, or a story. 2. Play a sentence. 3. Repeat the sentence at the same time as the speaker. Try to match the rhythm, pronunciation, and speed. At first, this can be challenging, but after a few days of practice, your brain starts to get used to producing English sounds and structures automatically without thinking too much. Shadowing is like training your mouth and brain together. You're not translating. You're imitating natural speech. You can start with 5 minutes per day. Gradually increase to 10 or 15 minutes. Choose topics you enjoy. Stories, motivational talks, or interviews. Consistency is more important than perfection. 6. Listen, listen, listen. You can't think in English if your brain doesn't hear enough English. That's why listening is a key part of this training. When you listen every day, your brain absorbs grammar, vocabulary, and natural expressions without effort. It's like feeding your brain English patterns. Choose materials that are not too difficult You should understand at least 80% of what you hear. This way, you learn naturally without feeling lost. You can listen while doing daily activities, while washing dishes, walking, or exercising. The more you listen, the more familiar English becomes, and the less you need to translate in conversations. 7. Accept mistakes and keep going. One big block that stops learners from thinking in English is fear of mistakes. Remember this. Mistakes are not proof that you're bad. Mistakes are proof that you're trying. Native speakers make mistakes too. They correct themselves, laugh, and keep going. If you stop every time you make a mistake, you'll never build flow. When you practice thinking in English, accept that some sentences will be imperfect. That's okay. Fluency grows from frequent, fearless practice, not from waiting to be perfect. 8. Create English zones in your day. To think in English naturally, you need to surround yourself with it. Here are some ideas. Change your phone language to English. Watch TV shows or YouTube videos only in English for 1 hour per day. Write your to-do list in English. Speak to yourself in English when you're alone. By creating these English zones, you train your brain to live in English more often. Over time, your brain starts using English automatically because it becomes the default language in certain moments. 9. Be patient and consistent. Thinking in English won't happen in one day. It's like planting a seed. You water it every day, and little by little, it grows. If you practice for a few days and then stop, the seed won't grow. But if you keep going, even with small steps every day, your brain will adapt. The key is consistency, not intensity. 5 to 10 minutes of daily mental. English practice is more powerful than one long session once a week. 10. Enjoy the process. Finally, make this journey enjoyable. Don't turn it into a boring task. Choose topics you love. Think in English about your passions. Cooking, music, movies, travel, sports, dreams. The more emotional connection you have, the faster you'll progress. When you enjoy the process, your brain learns faster and resists less. Before we finish today's episode, I want to give you one simple but powerful piece of advice. Don't wait to feel ready before you start thinking in English. Start today, even if it's messy, even if it's slow. That's how real progress begins. The perfect moment doesn't exist. What matters is consistency. A few minutes every day can completely change the way your brain works. Now, I have a question for you. If you had to describe your day right now in English without translating, what's the first sentence that comes to your mind? Think about it. Say it out loud. Let it flow. This is your moment to take action, not just to listen. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you won't miss the next parts. We're going to keep growing together, step by step, until speaking English without thinking becomes your new reality.